you, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Anu Chitkineni. I'm Senior Manager at Center of Excellence in Genomics at System Biology at ICRISAT. A hearty welcome to you all to the live webinar in the series of Next Generation Genomics and Integrated Breeding Crop Improvement, the 7th NGG IV series on the genomics for food, health, and nutrition. We are very happy to have you all to joining this important event. And as we begin today's program, first of all, I would like to introduce Dr. Kiran Sharma. Dr. Sharma, can I request you to wave your hand so that our audience can recognize you? Okay, Dr. Sharma is currently the Deputy Director General Research at ICRISAT and Director CRP Grain Legumes and Dryland Cereals. Dr. Sharma also leads Agro Innovation Platform as its CEO. Dr. Sharma has over 30 years of experience in genetic engineering and molecular biology for crop improvement, performing multidisciplinary research with a thorough understanding of the global agriculture R&D trends, needs, and challenges. Dr. Sharma was instrumental in establishing the platform for translational research in transgenic crops, the unit called PTTC, in 2007, that facilitates translation of genetic engineering technologies and proof of concept to value-added products. And also he played a very key role in establishing an agribusiness incubator at ICRISAT in 2003 that has won several accolades as a successful model for public-private sector partnership and entrepreneurship development. We are honored to have your presence today, so thank you very much. Now going ahead, now I would like to introduce Dr. S.K. Malhotra, Agriculture Commissioner, the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, Government of India. So can I request you to wave your hand so that audience can recognize? Okay. Dr. Malhotra is a major focus is on increasing productivity of agriculture crops through implementation of National Food Security Mission, National Mission for Oil Seeds, Mission for Development of Horticulture and Increasing Water Productivity. Dr. Malhotra has earlier served the ICAR as Assistant Director General for Horticulture. Dr. Malhotra has represented Ministry of Agriculture and India in several high-level platforms, including G20, SAARC, FAO, and Codex, IDC, ADB, African Union, and European Union summits and meetings. Thank you, sir, for joining this event. And now I would like to introduce Dr. Sanjay Kalia. He is an accomplished scientist. And sir, can I request you to wave your hand so that audience can recognize you? And a policy maker in the area of biotechnology. At present, he is working as Scientist E, Department of Biotechnology, Ministry of Science and Technology, Government of India. He is leading several flagship projects in the area of genomic sequencing, capturing genomic variation and molecular breeding. He is very keen to see application of biotechnology in the development of products and seeing them reaching to markets and farmer fields. It is great pleasure to have you, sir, in this meeting. Thank you very much for joining us. Now let me introduce Dr. Rajiv Varshney, who is popularly known as genomics guru in the students community. Dr. Varshney is the Global Research Program Director, Genetic Gains, and Director for CEGSB at ICRISAT, and adjunct professor at several universities around the world. He is internationally recognized for his contribution in genome sequencing, translational genomics for agriculture, and capacity building in developing countries. Dr. Varshney, in addition to elected fellow of several academies of India, Germany, and other countries, is also recipient of the Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Award and the most prestigious science award from Government of India. Thank you, Dr. Varshney. And now we have all our dignitaries and online in the webinar. So now I'd like to invite Dr. Varshney to proceed further. Thank you very much, everyone.
Okay. Thank you very much, Anu. And please keep yourself mute and all the colleagues who are participating in this workshop, so they can keep their mic mute. I hope I am audible. Anyway, a very good morning and welcome you all. We very much hope that you all are keeping well and safe in this unprecedented pandemic time. As all of us are having lockdown in many countries around the world, this is making impact on all of us. And definitely agriculture is one area and among many other areas where this is making serious impact. So this COVID-19 is making impact on agriculture, not only on agriculture, but probably on our hair culture also. You can see that I got the long hair. I'm not able to go to the hair salon. I don't know how much time it will take further. Anyway, on the serious note, that during this lockdown period, majority of the researchers, students, they're working from home, learning from home, and not able to go to the universities or the research institutes. In this context, some colleagues approached us and they mentioned that in general, our center has been organizing these workshops and training courses. So can we do something for them now so that they can learn more? In parallel, I was giving webinars here in India and other places at several places. But then when I was giving a presentation at MPKV Rahuri, which was organized by one of my friend, Dr. Pavan Kulwal, who is also participating in this webinar, then that gave us an idea that, yeah, some people are asking us, why shouldn't we organize a workshop by bringing leading experts in genomics research together? And as a result, we organize this workshop. Now, let's talk about this workshop. So basically, we have been working on the genomics approaches around the world, but majority of time we have been talking for enhancing crop productivity. Majority of time we are restricted with our research to food. But the current pandemic has taught us that not only food, but a better nutrition and good health is very, very important. Therefore, we decided the topic of the workshop as genomics for food, nutrition and health. In fact, we planned initially to have this workshop with about 500 delegates, but we had an overwhelming response. In total, we got more than 3,388 participants registered till 12th, and after that, we need to close the registration because at that time point, our Zoom was able to accommodate only 500 delegates. So now then we need to get this Zoom upgraded. We got for 1,000, but we are having more delegates. And we are very happy to share that out of these 3,000 delegates or so, 2,000, they are the male delegates, and around 1,400, they are the female participants. So we are having really good representation of gender diversity. And not only that, we have the colleagues from about 67 countries from almost all continents. From India, we got colleagues from all 26 or from all, we got the participants from 26 states and 5 union territories of India. So this is really good. And now when we were doing some analysis, we got about more than 50% students. So this is really good. And then around 50%, they are the researchers, scientists, and faculties in various institutes. So as I mentioned that our Zoom session can have a maximum of 1,000 participants. And we already are having right now more than 730 or so. And then we thought that what we should do. So we have done online or like simultaneous screening on the YouTube. And we also got large number of participants on the YouTube as well. So those colleagues who are attending session on YouTube, they should not think that they are not participating in the webinar. They are also important delegate for this webinar. On this occasion, I would also like to convey the message of our Director General, Dr. Jackie Hughes, who joined ICRISAT and she is working remotely from the Philippines. And she sent me this message today morning that she could not join the session because of her other pressing engagement, but she gave me a message to pass to you. She mentioned, and I'm saying this thing in quotes, please pass my best wishes to all and my hope that there will be strong technical discussion and outputs that will help guide future directions. And best wishes to everyone to keep well in these uncertain times. Thank you very much, Jackie, for your message to this group. Now, before I go to that inviting our panelist, I would like to mention two things. One is that as we are having this large number of participants, so we may have some technical issues. And so please excuse us for those issues, but we will try to make sure that you have the good or smooth streaming. Second is that many students wanted to have the certificates of participation in the webinar. And we would like to assure all students that who will attend the webinar for entire day. So guys, you need to attend the afternoon session as well, right? So those students who will attend the entire webinar, irrespective of place that they are attending through Zoom or YouTube, they will be provided certificates. And Anu will be sending these certificates to all of them after the workshop is over, maybe next 2-3 days or so. So we will be able to do that one. So don't worry about that. At this time point, I would like to thank all the speakers. I could see Professor Binhan, Professor Lihiki, and several other speakers already joined. And also all of our chairs. I saw Dr. N.P. Singh, Dr. Tara Satyavati, and many other senior colleagues, our friends. I could see many of them. I could identify many of them with their name as well. So I'm really very pleased to see all these colleagues in this workshop. And I'm sure that we are going to have a successful workshop. And in this context, now I would like to invite Dr. Malhotra, who is an eminent agricultural scientist and policy maker, who is representing Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare of Government of India. So I would like to invite him to deliver opening remarks. Dr. Malhotra, floor is yours, please.
Thank you, Rajiv. I'm really happy to be here with you all. Good morning, everybody. It's a matter of great pleasure for me that I'm here to give the opening remarks for the workshop, Genomics for Food, Health and Nutrition. The topic chosen is really relevant. As we know that optimization of plant features and performance according to agriculture needs has been undertaken for hundreds of years. In the present context, impact of climate change is visible in agriculture. Severity of the droughts, floods and emergence of several new diseases, pests and environmental stresses, they pose challenges to the farmers and threaten food safety. Therefore, to quickly respond to these challenges, fast breeding approaches are relevant. I pass on my compliments to ICRISAT for taking initiative in organization of this event. It's really an important event. As we know that experts in genomics are striving hard to determine complete DNA sequences and perform genetic mapping to help understand the problems in better way to improve the plant type. Of course, we have to go miles before we develop maps for many other important crops. These advances have led to the possibility of undertaking anticipatory breeding to meet the challenges. Marker-assisted selections has now become an integral part of our breeding programs. I am happy to share with you that the year 2019-20, according to the third estimate which I reviewed yesterday only, we are going to touch the record production of the food grains, 295 million tons. So this is a record production which we are going to achieve, and 118 million ton rice we are going to get, 108 million tons wheat production we are going to achieve, 29 million tons for maize. But now focus is on pulses and oilseeds. And the today's topic which you have chosen is really relevant, because here we need to, because food security is incomplete without nutritional security, without health security. In the present context, it is very much relevant. We can see that during the event of this COVID-19 infection, everybody is now taking care of his health. Everybody is demanding now gold milk. They are asking for the ginger. They are asking for the turmeric. There is a demand for lemon, garlic. So these are the products. Even millets also, I am telling you, millets are also in the picture. So genomics in agriculture is currently in practice for rice, maize globally. But progress in pulses and oilseeds, fruits, vegetables has been slow. Food and nutritional security is incomplete without involvement of these crops. So here, our production for pulses, if I give you an example, in the year 2014-15, the Indian production of the pulses was 16 million ton, and we were importing 6 million ton of the pulses from other countries. And then I remember when I joined as Agriculture Commissioner, I was given the assignment to prepare the roadmap and to implement it. So we prepared the roadmap, we implemented the roadmap, and today we have reached to the level of 22 million tons of the pulses. We are self-sufficient, and now even we have opened it for exporting the pulses to other countries wheresoever it is needed. Thanks to our National Agriculture Research System, which has given us new varieties. Today, pulses is our success story, and ICRISAT has played a greater role in this. And in our National Agriculture Research System, ICRISAT was also partner. Ministry of Agriculture, Government of India has supported ICRISAT at many instances, because we have given tasks to the ICRISAT at many instances to provide immediate solution to the problems. I remember Rajiv is with us. 2 projects were sanctioned, and Rajiv took the lead in that case. One project was related to utilization of genomics in chickpea improvement. Another project was delivering higher income to the farmers to enhance genetic gains through utilization of these modern tools, particularly these genomics and all other tools. So here now results are coming, and he has succeeded in providing us good varieties. 2 new varieties have been recently released. Credit goes to Dr. Rajiv. I must give compliments to the ICRISAT that they took the lead in resolving the unresolved issues. So fusarium wilt resistant chickpea, drought resistant chickpea. So these 2 varieties have been very recently, those have been released. As I mentioned, that pulses is our success story, but now oil seeds are becoming our priority, because we are importing 14 million ton of the edible oils. And now a new mission has been started. I was again given this task. So this new mission has been started now. National Mission for Edible Oils. So ICRISAT has also collaborated with us in the National Agriculture Research System. We have worked for groundnut, and ICRISAT has developed few varieties for groundnut also. Even they are partner with us for millets. So ICRISAT is playing their greater role. And here, now the time has come where we need to utilize the power of agrigenomics. I am using the word agrigenomics. And we expect that it should continue to drive sustainable production and offer solution to the challenges of food, health, and nutritional security. I hope deliberations through this workshop on genomics for food, health, and nutrition will provide roadmap to resolve the unresolved issues. And I wish you all a productive discussion. I have gone through the program, and program has been very well sketched, and the speakers from throughout the world, speakers have been involved into it. They all are the experts of their own areas, and we are very keen to listen to them. And I am confident that as an outcome of this workshop, we will be in a position to develop a kind of strategy, develop a kind of roadmap for resolving the unresolved. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. Very nice presentation, very good guiding remarks, and we are always grateful to you for all your support. And you have not been just helping ICRISAT and the farming community in India. We always feel very privileged when you represent India in the international platform, and you make your point that, well, how important agriculture is. So we are really grateful to you for all your support and also for your time to speak in this session. Thank you very much, and we look forward to receive your continuous support. Now I would like to invite Dr. Kalia, who is an important agricultural scientist and policy maker and a great friend of us. In his current role, he is giving a direction to the biotechnology research in agriculture in India. And in his current role, he always, whenever I talk to him, he's always very much interested to see the application of biotechnology in product development, so that they can reach to the farmers, they can reach to the markets. Right now, he's leading several flagship projects of Government of India, including genome sequencing, capturing genetic variations in different crops. So we are really thankful to you, Dr. Kalia, for joining us. Now, floor is yours, please, and we will look forward to receive your message, sir.
Thanks, Rajiv, for handing me the floor. A warm welcome to one and all. I am not citing good morning or good evening, because everyone is coming from different time zones. So Dr. Malhotra has underlined all the statistics, key statistics on agriculture productivity and the initiatives of Government of India. The program designed by you, Rajiv, is excellent in certain aspects because it is the right time we need to think about the health and nutrition. One Health has been becoming a focus now, which includes animal, plants, and humans as well. So it's time to think how we can proceed further by taking genomics into account. The groups have been pioneer in using uh, speed breeding technologies and genomics assisted breeding. And really, we are beginning to see the fruits of these technologies coming up. Interestingly, we have quite a huge amount of success with rice, wheat, and other crops uh, where marker assisted breeding, which again it is a genomics based tool, has been employed. What we now need to think is how we can use these technologies for the consumers. One word is consumer and one word is user. So consumer always needs a designer food, low GI rice that is required for nutrition and health benefits. So what is our target? Who requires which technology, which trade the most is also of importance. What we need to find a balance between these needs, whether we are targeting health or we are talking about nutrition per se, because majority of the population is deprived of the nutrition. So what we are going to do? Some, and in case of certain niche classes, they require designer foods. So how we are going to proceed ahead using this technology? How we are going to design our crops? How we are going to use our knowledge uh, about our land races? How we are going to capture the diversity present in them? How we are going to analyze the key traits? So the time is we have to look everything in unison now, not focusing on plants alone. We have to see the whole ecosystem as a whole. You have been a pioneer, my colleagues from US, Bangalore, and you have been pioneer in associating nutritionists along with you. So now the challenge is you have to think beyond plants. Now you have to capture everything. Whole systems approach is required for addressing some of these key issues. If you are increasing one nutrient in plant, suppose you are increasing zinc, we may be able to identify some QTLs. But whether it is genetic or whether it is due to association with some of the bacteria or AMF So we need to move forward in this direction and have a complete systems approach. And then there is also a concern about bioavailability of these nutrients. How these nutrients are going to be available to the masses, whether when it goes into gut. You have been US, I hope Shashai is there. He has been working in millets in this direction, and you have been working in millets and chickpea too, by associating several of our uh, food nutritionists and clinicians in this aspect. So it's time to move ahead. I think a step beyond what we have been conventionally doing. What is uh, whether we need to also to see what are the types of allergies to different food different populations are having. What are the effect of increasing these nutrients on the human health, whether they are really bioavailable or not. So I know all of you must agree with marker assisted breeding. We have been able to churn out varieties within a span of 5 years, and with genomics assisted breeding, we would be able to do this in 3 years. Lee is there, and you are there. You both have pioneered these techniques. So, in addition to this, I would request the audience and those participating in it to look into these issues. Then another issue is whether we have mapped diversity of nutrients in all the available land races, which is also a key question. What is in whether these nutrients are due to availability of nutrients or bioactive compounds or protein content is due to the soil or soil microflora needs to be seen. These are the key questions. I'm not going into statistics because this is not a time to go into statistics, and I would really like this audience to put their stresses on these uh, few issues and uh, try to really use these modern technologies in unison with plant breeding approaches. So I hope this session is going to be wonderful because half of our population is suffering from iron malnutrition, and every third person in India is suffering from diabetes. So, what kind of foods we are going to really develop? And then there is a another issue, whether we should focus on calories or we should focus on bioactive molecules. So we need to see who is going to be our target audience and which are the varieties which are going to be better suited for these ameliorations. With these words, I thank uh, Dr. Varshane and all the group members present. They should discuss these issues besides discussing the key talks by Dr. Hickey, Dr. Chen from China, and others who are participant from Clemson. It is, if I correctly remember, Thangraj is there.
She has not yet joined. She will be joining in evening because this is very early morning in United States.
Yeah, yeah. So, Rajiv, you have chosen the app time for discussing all these issues. So let us have a productive session. I will keep on joining in between and listening to you because I'm right now in office because we are not shut down since 15th of April. I'm supposed to be working, so I will keep connected, and let us have discussion focused on these aspects also, where we are going to apply a systems approach to see what is happening. Wh- why some rice varieties are having bioactive compounds, why whether these key issues needs to be addressed too. Besides always focusing on production and productivity, let us move somewhat towards science also, because without doing science we won't be able to come to some of the key answers. Recently, I was reading a paper from a Chinese group where bacteria uh, present in apoplast of rice plants was responsible for some of the bioactive compounds. So it was really amazing to see such types of researches happening around the globe, and you have been pioneers in uh, leading Indian research community along with NAS system. So Tara is also there, who is she's a chair in one of the sessions, and really uh, she would be focusing on. And also, I would like to highlight on some of the programs of my department handling mission. We have got mission program on oilseeds, where we are targeting 4 minor oilseeds, as they are called, but I never reckoned for minor oilseeds because they were once major oilseeds. Still, we introduced uh, soybean and imported palm oil from Indonesia and other places in the world. Uh, these are sesame, Niger, safflower, and one more. I'm forgetting the name. So uh, we are targeting these oil seeds, which are also important from the nutrition point of view. They have been used since ages in confectionery, and sesame happens to be one of the oldest oil seeds and is grown from Kashmir to Kanyakumari in India. Another program where we are focusing is on rice, where we are going to really genotype 17,000 uh, accessions, or pardon me, these are land races, actually named land races, which are present across the country. Here also effort has been made to really look into the nutrition profile of these all varieties which are present. Then we have got wheat, where we are primarily not bothered much about nutrition, but really about temperature stresses, and we are phenotyping close to 7,000 land races of uh, wheat which are prevalent, which were prevalent in India, but now confined to the gene bank of NBPJ. Another program is on chickpea, and latest one is which is going to roll out is on millet. And I have been requesting Rajiv to make a focus program on groundnut, so that most of you uh, recently he has published many papers in this direction, and we hope that his research insights into genomic selection and other tools will help in really uh, uh, breeding for new varieties in groundnut at a faster pace. So over to you, Rajiv, and I thank one and all for joining this exciting webinar with all the key questions posed on them. Rather I being at the forefront of uh, telling them about figures and facts. I'm really posing some scientific questions which need to be answered, and how systems approach should be applied, need combined with the genomics approach, need to be seen. Another effort which the groups in ICRISAT and ICGV have undertaken is about the health of the food. Health of the food means not only means uh, nutrient content. It is also about the bacteria, viruses, and fungi which are present in the food, and ICRISAT incidentally have taken some good steps in this direction. And my colleagues at ICGB, although Vanga Shiva is no more in ICGB, he worked on uh, healthy foods with most of the fungi which contaminate cereals on the food. So these were, I hand over back to you, Rajiv, and it has been a long talk by me. My boss is waving at me and asking me to come over and have a discussion after I finish my talk with you. I will keep on joining intermittently as and when it becomes possible. With these words, I close on and wish you all the best. And everyone should enjoy this seminar. And thanks for the great initiative.
Thank
Guys,
you.
keep going.
Thank you. Thank you very much,
Okay.
sir, for
Okay.
Thank you very much,
Yeah.
sir, for all your
Over.
kind words and for setting the scene to highlight the potential of genomics for nutrition, health, and all your good wishes, and also providing that idea about the DVT's research and different organizations. And you have always been supportive. You always been very guiding to us that what we should do. We look forward to continue to work with you, Dr. Kalia, sir. And we know that you are having very busy schedule. So please, and also to Dr. Malhotra or whosoever the senior colleagues are there, I know that their time is very important, so they can keep on coming, going. So please feel free to join at your convenience. Thank you very much once again, Dr. Kalia. We are really grateful to you for your time. Thank you. Now I would
Thanks,
like to... Sure. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Rajiv. And Bill.
Thank you. Now we would like to invite Dr. Sharma, who is our Deputy Director General Research and also the Director of the CGR Research Program on the grain, legumes, and dryland cereals. I will not talk much about these things because Dr. Sharma is going to talk about the GLDC, about ICRISAT. And as Anu already introduced Dr. Sharma, we would like to mention once again that Dr. Sharma is a big supporter of research in general and biotechnology in particular, and we are receiving great support from him. So we look forward to hear inaugural address from Dr. Sharma. Dr. Sharma, floor is yours, please.
Thank you, Rajiv. Thanks a lot, and welcome to everyone to this workshop on next generation genomics and integrated breeding for crop improvement, especially focusing on food, health, and nutrition. Very pleased to see everyone, people who have joined. I see almost 800 participants as of now, and probably another 400 to 500 on the YouTube. So I think this is a great opportunity to also utilize the time when most of us are working from home, because I'm sure people start getting rusted, sitting at home. I'm, for myself, I think from morning to evening, I'm in conferences or conference calls, because everyone has time now. So we have many more meetings going on. So again, a very warm welcome from ICRISAT and ICRISAT Director General, who could not join. I think Rajiv has already passed on the message of our new DG, Dr. Jacqueline Hughes, to all of you. And I'm sure you will get to meet her at some stage. So I'll also welcome our guests here, Dr. S.K. Malhotra and Dr. Sanjay Kalia. It was very nice of for you, both of you, to join and also set the stage. I think you touched on some very important ideas and topics which need to be addressed. Science is always good, but then I think the message coming here is how is it relevant to our stakeholders? In terms of whether it's farmers we're talking about, whether it's consumers and public at large. So they have to benefit from the science we do. And in that direction, I think the genomics can play a very big role. I somehow use genomics in a larger sense, and I think I like the word agri-genomics, which Dr. Malhotra mentioned about. So because there's so many genomics going on, so but definitely, how is genomics applicable to agriculture? And if you look at the title of this webinar, there are two very important words there. One is integrated breeding, and second one is crop improvement. And of course, the underlying keywords here are food, health, and nutrition, because that's what we are here for. In agriculture, how do we enhance the food production, productivity, make the crops more resilient? In terms of health, I think it's not just simple calorics, as I think Dr. Malhotra also mentioned, but it has to be nutritious food, and that's where some our stakeholders, especially in the developing world or emerging economies in Asia, South Asia, in Africa, I think are looking forward to it, where malnourishment is high. In India, if I look at, I think calorie wise, we are probably self-sufficient. But what about the nutrition? The malnourishment is still high. Child mortality is still high, under 5 child. So I think these are some of the underlying factors which we need to be considering all along, while we look at modern tools and technologies, including genomics. And when you mentioned about integrated breeding and crop improvement, I think this is where ICRISAT comes in, along with our partners from ICR, from various state agriculture universities, in terms of how do we integrate, looking at a holistic picture. For example, ICRISAT has embarked on a very major initiative on modernizing our crop improvement. So the question is, what do you mean by modernizing crop improvement? Crop improvement is crop improvement. I think what we are talking here is, how do you use modern tools, technologies, thinkings to enhance our crop improvement so that we can provide delivery at a much faster rate? Typically in the public sector, in the past, I think it has been taking long time to deliver a variety or a hybrid, anywhere from 8 to 10 years or even more in some cases. But how do we use some of these new technologies available to us so that we can enhance the rate of genetic gain? And when we talk of genetic gain, I think there are many factors you're talking about, and one of the key factor there is, besides variation in our germplasm, land races, one of the very important factor is the speed with which we can accomplish new variety development. And I think that's a major thinking going all around, and that's what Lee Hickey comes in, who will be talking about breeding crops to feed 10 billion people. And I think his emphasis has always been, how do you enhance the speed of breeding, speed breeding, by developing rapid generation turnover, of varieties, enhancing your F1 to F5 in a limited time. Instead of taking 5 to 7 years, can we do it in 2 years so that we move straight into the field? So I think that's a very important thing which we have, ICRISAT and other CG centers have embarked on. And the reason for this is, again, the donors want quick turnover, quick development of varieties. I think we already heard some of the aspirations coming from a donor like DBT. Dr. Sanjay Kalia was mentioning about so many things in terms of how do we enhance, how do we use these technologies to move faster. So as I mentioning ICRISAT is moving forward on this integrated breeding and crop improvement areas, where we're trying to work with the private sector companies, trying to learn some of the best practices and see how we can move faster in all our regions, starting from here, our headquarters in Patancheru, and also in our Eastern, Southern Africa and Western and Central Africa locations. And that's where some of the thinking going on at the CGIAR level, the Consultative Group on International Agriculture Research, where ICRISAT and other 15 centers belong. There has been a special initiative on crops to end hunger. And the emphasis there is, how do we enhance this process of crop improvement so that we can address the issues about hunger and malnourishment. And there is a general thinking about all the international donors on how do we bring these best practices together to address the crop improvement, but at the same time looking at a bigger picture of systems research about policies. So they have to be very integral part of this whole process. So in that direction, I think we are moving in the right direction. It's a big task, but we have to start somewhere, and that's where the reforms taking place at the CGIAR, and also now. Just to mention to you, if you don't know, many of you may not know, the CGIAR is moving towards what we call one CGIAR, which means the whole of CG will be working as a one unit, and then the centers with their capabilities, with their expertise, with their regional expertise, will be contributing to that aspirations of the one CGIAR as we move forward. And hopefully this change will take place within next 1 to 2 years. I think the ball has already been set into motion, and we are already moving, and CGIAR is looking and having a lot of consultations within the CGIAR institutions like ICRISAT and IRRI and CIMMYT and others, but also having close discussion with donors and the stakeholders, both national and international donors, and also the stakeholders, especially in the areas where the CGIAR is much more proactive, or the research is targeted to those areas. So this is what is going on right now. And I think this thinking has been re-emphasized in the current, last 3 to 4 months, when we all have been locked down. COVID-19 situation has arisen, and that has also raised many questions on our preparedness, especially agricultural preparedness, in terms of food available, the value chains, how they function, where we can plug in, where we can move things faster. So that's another discussion going on at the CGIAR along with our donors on how do we tackle such situations now as well as coming, in the future as well, so that agriculture is much more prepared to tackle with such, epidemics or which will probably happen more in the future. As I think Dr. Malhotra was also mentioning, we are basically, there's a new normal which will be tackling around. So we have to look at the whole value chain, whole area of agriculture. The government of India, I'm sure with other governments also, are very concerned, and agriculture has been given a special place in terms of the work should not stop, so that agriculture operations should continue. And so that's where we are, I think. So definitely, I think the information generated through genomics will go a long way in developing our new crop improvement strategies, besides opportunity to use new tools and technologies. I think I'm talking about genome editing type of, where you can actually make more subtle changes. But then I think the knowledge generated from genomics sequencing and their annotations will greatly help in coming up with designer crops as well in the future, and in a much faster way. And that's where I think the government of India is also looking at easing some of the restrictions, classifying some of the gene edited products as non-GM, so that they don't go through hurdles of regulatory, especially if you're looking at single base pair changes. But then that's possible only once you have a good genomic knowledge, about a crop you're dealing with. So I will not go into too much detail. I'm sure we have a line of excellent speakers. I'm looking at Dr. N.P. Singh, who is a highly experienced researcher, especially in legumes. Lee Hickey, of course, has been working with ICRISAT and trying to help with our own approaches to enhance the speed breeding, rapid generation turnovers. I see the name of Dr. Bin Han there, who's an expert on hybrid rice and how this heterosis, especially from increasing grain yield, will work. Again, I see name of Dr. Tara Satyavati, who has been leading, spearheading the whole millet work in India through ECRIP centers. And she also has a lot of ideas, especially on how our research should be refocused on many areas which have been neglected in the past, especially under extreme, drought conditions. So maybe we should start looking at. So I see other participants as well. So so while we have excellent resource persons, the number of participants, 50% I was told are students here, and I think this is a very good opportunity for students to really start looking at a holistic picture. Get out from your disciplines basically. Don't focus so much on whether I'm a genomic scientist or whether I am a pathologist or entomologist. I think we are looking at an integrated future now. Those days of disciplines are gone because everyone does everything. So you have to have the knowledge, and this is an excellent platform to generate that knowledge and refocus your energies and develop better strategies. So with that, I think I will stop by thanking our immediate partners here in India, for example, the Government of India, the Indian Council of Agricultural Research, Ministry of Agriculture, Department of Biotechnology, Department of Science and Technology. They are our major supporters as far as resource funding is concerned. And it's good to hear from them that they have also benefited. Again, the state governments have been also very, working very closely with ICRISAT, especially on some of the downstream activities on actually taking some of the crop and natural resource management technologies all the way down to the farmers by integrating watershed technology, for example. So the reason I'm bringing watershed here is, let's talk a holistic approach here. We have extreme high-end science here, but at the same time, that science has to reach the real stakeholders. And for that, you need to have a full knowledge of the whole value chain. So ICRISAT very much looks forward to working very closely with our stakeholders, with our collaborators, and also the donors who have shown faith in ICRISAT. And I request everyone to enjoy your day. It's a learning day, I think I'm sure you're going to have. So use this opportunity while you're working from home. So it's a very good use of the opportunity COVID-19 has provided us. So thank you very much and good luck to all. Thanks, Rajiv, again for organizing this. And we look forward to a good discussion going forward. Have a great day.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sharma, for great talk and for providing the vision and also highlighting the different areas, highlighting basically the holistic agriculture, and also for all your thanking words to all of our stakeholders. As Dr. Sharma mentioned, we really appreciate our partners, our funders, our donors, and all these stakeholders. I think that together with them, we are making some changes, and that's what is required. And thank you, Dr. Sharma, once again for all your support to organize this workshop as well. We are grateful to you. Thank you.